Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It is a busy, important week. We don't have many of those around here between the moment that the Ravens are eliminated, as they were back in January now. But here we are into June, and this is the big week. It's the mandatory minicamp. We'll get them all suited up out in Owings Mills. I have gifted a couple of my seats to a leukemia warrior on Thursday, my PSL. I hit the PSL lottery, Dennis Koulatsos. I got invited to camp, and I gave my 2 seats away. And I know you're excited about this. Look, I'm not a practice guy, and I think this will be a particularly gruesome kind of offense to watch through practice because they don't toss the ball around a whole lot. It's not going to be that kind of offense, but important, really, really important work being done out in Owings Mills this week, Dan.
Yeah, a lot of new pieces for sure in the offense, not just with the receivers, but the offensive line, a lot of moving parts, new running backs, new scheme. Interested to see what this thing is going to look like with Greg Roman having the benefit of the entire offseason, like a mad scientist would, to sit there and construct a new playbook. And they had Paul Johnson, the old Navy coach, come in there. So I'm sure they're going to be multiple, as Coach Billick would like to say.
Well, and to that point, there needs to be this thing where they start throwing the football around successfully, right? And that will start in these purple-white matchups. We have big change on the defensive side, so Wink is installing stuff. This is going to be a true practice period here, right? Like, everybody is truly practicing what they're going to be doing, where, Flacco kind of had a command of this thing for a long, long time. These things were very rudimentary, and we're going to install a few new players and things. We've got a quarterback that's already admitted that he didn't know what was going into the offense. So there's a lot of learning going on this summer out at the Castle.
Well, what I like about this team, Nestor, on both sides of the ball, there are a lot of ball players there with big chips on their shoulders, beginning with Lamar Jackson. Can he or can't he? Of course, a lot of naysayers still out there that he's not a real NFL quarterback. They're saying he's still a running back trying to play the position. You have Earl Thomas coming off of injuries in successive years from Seattle. Best free safety since Ed Reed. On paper, he has something to prove. You name it. I mean, they have guys with Texas-sized chips on his shoulders, and guys that the jury's still out on a defensive. The rush ends. Shane Ray, newcomer, he's got something to prove. Matt Judon's playing for contract. Tyus Bowser, Will Hiobonhi, Tim Withams, same question. So question marks all over the place. And they'll be answered very, very soon. A lot of exciting battles, deep position battles in wide receiver. Defensive back is a mess. They've got 13 DBs that can flat out play. Who makes it and who doesn't, Nestor? It's going to be a very, very competitive camp. These receivers going up against these defensive backs will be worth the price of admission.
Well, I was going to say, you said the defense is a mess, and a good kind of a mess, and probably a really good test for the Hollywoods and for these tight ends in trying to figure out what other defenses are going to be doing to defense them with speed and with having to mark 2 or 3 guys on the field that could be game changers if first guy misses, contain on him,
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and I think Mark Ingram certainly brings something different to this team. He still has plenty of pop by all accounts, and another guy who's got a chance to lead that running back room and set the tone. Gus Edwards, better shape, down to 3% body fat from 9 to 6%. He's got Nestor Aparicio type of body fat in his body right now, and so he's going to make an impact. Kenneth Dixon, again, a big year, big training camp for Kenneth Dixon. He's got Justice Hill, who's going to make the roster, with the Lance Turner, another guy vying for that another position. So who do they cut? Who do they keep? Quarterback, if they keep Trace McSorley, that certainly cost another positional player to be off this team. This team has always carried 2 quarterbacks, but Trace, because he can play special teams, he can play safety, he can play receiver, slot back, quarterback, etc., he's a Swiss Army knife. He will also cost another good player position. So there are going to be some players that are going to be able to latch on as starters with other NFL teams that won't be able to make this squad, which says a lot for this Ravens, the 2019 edition of the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, and for the practices here and now and what it is, it it visually looks so much different with no Joe Flacco, right? Like, I think for anybody that's watched the preseason games, and this is the last little batch we'll have, and 5 weeks from now we'll come back, and there won't be a fifth game this year. They'll be slinging it around 2 games here, and then the game in Philly and the game down in D.C., and I don't know what the preseason of this is going to look like, where you don't want to put the kid in peril at all. You don't want him running the ball much at all. You probably don't want him running around and having preseason games turn into street football games and then running around with a pass rush either. So I don't know what we're going to learn in the preseason. I am really questioning that. Like, we're going to be talking about it on a day-by-day basis, but how do we as fans even grade it or look at it in any way until we get to Miami in September?
Yeah, that's a good point. 7-on-7s, he looks sharp. He's bigger. He's stronger. He has more pop on his passes. He's firing that right hip, and that's all we could hope for, is just to see him improve. I don't think he has to be a ton better. If he's marginally better than last year, given all the weapons they're putting around him, Nestor, I expect this to be a very, very good offense. And by midseason, this offense has a chance, as long as everybody's healthy and the offensive line is holding up, they can be a dynamic offense, which is something we haven't had here in Baltimore in many, many years.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He's having fun this week doing the minicamp thing and selling cars. Here as the ragtops get out over at Coons Ford Security Boulevard. And, of course, sponsoring our WNST tech service. I said, Dennis, I do not want to see any text this week. We can agree on that, right? Like, the only thing that happens on the tech service is bad things this week, right?
Yeah, no news is good news. We hope for health, and hopefully all the guys have been rejuvenated, recovered in the off season. Everybody's coming back from taking care of the injuries, but they do have a lot of talent on this team. And I think the Ravens are going to be a little bit under the radar. Of course, the Browns have become the media darlings. The Steelers are still the Steelers, and the Bengals are still somewhere out there. But I like their positioning. I like the fact that they're getting some disrespect. I think that only helps fuel their fire. This is a team that finished 6-1 last season in the regular season. Hopefully they can pick up and go from there. You know, if they can win their first 3 games heading into that Cleveland game, that would be huge.
Does it feel like they won the division to you? I mean, it certainly feels to me like that was last year's team in a lot of ways, that this is a very different animal. And I think Luke and I have talked so much about that, the heart transplant that happens when Flacco, Suggs, Weddle, Mosley, these guys are all gone. And they're not coming back. But this is a real chance, to your point, for the Judons and the Humphreys, and certainly Earl Thomas to bring himself in here. And a lot of oxygen for Lamar Jackson right now to be the guy he talked about being when he stepped out to Goodell and said we're going to win a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. They helped themselves last year, no doubt, the last 7 games, but they also caught lightning in the bottle. They needed the help to get in, and does it feel like they won the division? Yes. Is it great that they had a home playoff game? Yes. Is it great that they lost? Of course not. But if they could win the division, say with an 11-5 record or 12-4, if everything really breaks the right way versus being 10-6 or 9-7 and needing help, I think that would be. We can all agree that would be better. We would all feel better about this addition of this team. But like any team, they're going to go just as the quarterback goes. If Lamar is Lamar and then some, they'll make noise, and that's why the quarterback is the most important position in the field. Earl Thomas was a huge addition to that secondary. Should be a huge upgrade over fan favorite Eric Weddle. His production should be there. He has something to prove, and I'm looking forward to when they go and play Kansas City again, because I've got that circled as a revenge match for the Baltimore Ravens. It's also going to be a measuring stick to see how far along they've come since a year ago.
Dennis Koulatsos can be found out at the SSV on WNST. And, of course, this Thursday from 3 until 5, moving back into his natural position. And I don't know, for you, like, you've got a little golf Jones, right? Like, so this whole Pebble Beach thing's going to get your attention this week.
Look, I love golf, and I love playoff hockey. We're down to the Game 7, the NBA.
By the way, I'm going to be at Silver Spring Mining for Game 7 with Gary Rissling in Hunt Valley because I want to watch Game 7 with a hockey player. Think about where we were last year with this Caps thing in the middle of it and how far it drifts, right, when it's Boston and St. Louis. But it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, everything should stop on Wednesday night. At least I think so, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can't ask for more than a Game 7. And even with the NBA, I hope we get a Game 7 there as well as a sports fan. But there's always great stuff, great content for us to take a look at as sports fans.
Yeah, you can't win without your best players, Golden State, right? I mean, really difficult to win, right?
This guy, Kawhi Leonard, I mean, he's playing out of his mind, and I don't know if you've seen his interviews, but he's pretty entertaining. Very, very dry. Doesn't really get enthused. It's a lot of fun watching this team. When they won Game 4, the whole team just left the field, left the arena left the court like they had lost.
Oh man, and they're coached up on this. I mean, it's very sort of Belichickian or Saban-y, right? I mean, or maybe even Wooden to say, look, there'll be time to celebrate when you win, but between here and there, act like you've been there before, right?
Yeah, definitely. You can tell they're in Golden State's heads, and unless Kevin Durant comes back miraculously, I don't see Golden State winning another game. But that's why we watch, right? When things seem very bleak and momentum have shifted, oftentimes momentum shifts back in the other direction. That's why we watch these things.
That's why we do Baltimore Positive, Dan, right?
That's exactly right. Just need some good vibes, good momentum. Got to get things going in the right direction. I love the pictures you post on social media about downtown Baltimore. You guys have a great view.
Well, we're working on that. The view will be better when it's safer and more vibrant and more businesses want to come and the Orioles are good and people are coming downtown and all the restaurants are full. Like, my friends at Roost Chris down here. We have these sponsors and you have friends and family down here as well. You like coming into the city, so we're working on it. Maybe we'll get you down here for Billy Joel. Come on.
Yeah, that'd be great. Chris, my son, said something to me yesterday. He said, Dad, he goes, bitter or better? And I like that. Very, very simple. Bitter or better? Are we going to be bitter? Or are we going to become better? It's our choice.
Well, I'm allowed to be a little bitter. I'm from Dundalk. Come on.
I'm from Essex. We're neighbors. Kissing cousins, hon.
He is Dennis Koulatsos. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, the SSV on WNSD. Back in its normal home. See you soon, Den. Enjoy minicamp, all right?
Thanks a lot. Been a pleasure.
You got it. There he goes, Dennis Koulatsos. SSV on WNST. We're working on Better Not Bitter around here as well. You can find me any time of the day out on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and anywhere we stream as well at WNST.net. Our Baltimore Positive up and running. We're going to be at State Fair in Catonsville on Thursday morning with C. Fraser Smith talking about all things Maryland and journalism and Governor Schaefer and Lefty Drizel and Len Bias and going back 35 years and sports books and news books and political scandals and all that stuff. It's going to be great. We're at State Fair, Baltimore Positive this Thursday. And then current Mayor Jack Young joining us at Fadley's Seafood at the world-famous Lexington Market. That means crab cakes for me. Means Damien and the Divine family are going to be feeding me all sorts of stuff in the morning, man. They have delicious food there. I'm working on fried chicken next time out, too. But I'm getting a crab cake. That's going to happen for sure. Nasty at WNST.net finds me and the Baltimore Positive Movement. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST, Charleston, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.